You are watching WPTV.
As it will. Again!
Netflix has recently bought the rights to create a live-action Cowboy Bebop, while also buying the Neon Evangelion series to show on their platform. With Netflix consistently attempting live-action anime adaptations, along with movie studios in creating live-action films like Alita Battle Angel and Ghost in the Shell, I had to ask if Western popular culture will ever get anime right or even accept anime at all. Joining me today to discuss this is Eliana, Joe, and Hebby. So thank you guys for coming, and thank you guys for talking about this with me. So we'll start off with what the most recent news. Hebby, I know that you're a massive Cowboy Bebop fan. Yeah. So what does this inspire? Hope, fear, paranoia, what?
It's a mix of feelings, to be honest, because, you know, Cowboy Bebop is not that hardcore like all the animes. You know, it's not like visually like insane like Ghost in the Shell and all that. So if they could just get a good cast. Yes, and you know, put some good budget on it, then maybe they could do justice to the Cowboy Bebop series. Maybe, you know.
Is budget the main problem? Because we've had major studios put a lot, like Alita Battle Angel had a lot of money sunk into it, and we haven't seen it yet. But you know, there's a fear that that won't be as good. And I mean, Scarlett Johansson putting her own money into Ghost in the Shell didn't work out for it. So is budget the only concern?
Not at all. I think budget has nothing to do with it, because I feel like they'll adapt Cowboy Bebop for Netflix and it'll be pretty much terrible regardless of the budget. I think like kind of the same thing with video game movies. Like it's really hard to try to write it in a different medium. Like regardless of budget, I think terrible writing is pretty much guaranteed, even if it's Netflix.
Well, I mean, we've had this, even this past year in 2017, 2018, we had two, for the first time, good video game movies in the Tomb Raider movie and in Ready Player One that was inside of a video game, even though it was adapted from a book. Eliana, what is the problem? We have Japanese animes that come from a manga, and then we have the American equivalency of comic books, and then being, you know, the Marvel movies and the DC movies and all that. We have our own animated films about those characters. Why is there such a heavy disconnect when we can get those right and the others go so wrong?
I think the problem is too is just because it's from a different culture, and I think there's a weird mindset of it's different, so let's try to put our own spin on it. And even regardless, there's bad live action in Japanese, there's bad live action here. So it's just, there's a weird thing of let's condense it so much, try to get the important points, but still not deliver what the fans want. Because at the end of the day, it's what the show is and what the fans want. So I don't know, there's just a weird disconnect.
So keeping on that point with you, what is the difference in the disconnect? We saw recently Batman Ninja is in a Western IP going overseas to Japan, created by a Japanese studio, done in the Japanese anime styling with Japanese actors doing the predominant voices, as we see here. Yeah. I mean, this went, you know, really well. So they took a Western thing and they knew how to do it, but we can't take a Japanese thing and make it our own. What is the breakup here?
I think it's details, honestly. It's a matter of us as a Western culture, we're the dominant series sometimes, we're the dominant people. So when they try to whitewash things too, especially, they lose the effect of what the story's supposed to be, not just because, oh, this character is acting a certain way and looks this way, here's what the story is. It's not, I don't know, it's just maybe Japan got it right for this one and that's it.
So Hebby, I'll ask you, what would be the thing that would push this over the edge? What do you think is the keys? We have Cowboy Bebop coming, but I'm sure there'll be more in the future. We're gonna have more come down the pipe. Right. What would be the key? What is the perfect blend that you can finally make this right?
That's a hard question. Hope. Hope, man. There has to be something that we can do to make anime adaptations like, as bomb as they should be, as we wish them to be. Probably working with the actors as much as possible, or trying to give that subtle cheesiness, into the dialogue. It's so hard, to figure out what is it that we're missing.
Yeah, I mean, anime itself is a very complex, but also has so many facets when people just think of anime in general. You have a lot of people who grew up saying like they watch anime, but they watch whatever was on Toonami, and that's, I mean, 0.001% of the medium as a whole. So, Joe, what is the thing, like, if you say an anime movie comes out, it's produced by the biggest studio we can find, Disney finally gets behind it, what do you want to see? Do you want to see big-time actors, big-time directors, or you do see people who are truly passionate about this project? Because we've had both, and they both haven't gone well.
Yeah, I think there is no hope, in my opinion. I know it's a little sad, but from what I've seen so far, I really don't think, like at least now, like maybe they could try in 10 years or 5 years maybe, but like even if, I feel like maybe Disney could do it justice, but like, come on, like all of these are pretty much failures, so I don't really see that happening anytime soon.
So now we've had, in the past 2 or 3 years, we talked about it a little bit before we went on air, Naruto, the first season of Naruto was actually adapted to a live play, and it became the second highest grossing play in Japanese history. So now you're going for something that is a manga, a show, and you make it the most live action that you can ever make something. You strip away even the ability to do CGI, and audiences loved it. And it's also one of the most viewed videos on YouTube. Even though it's 2 hours long, fans are still like, oh, I want to see what this is. What is it, just a details thing that we just can't get it? Because we even have the budget for the CGI, the chakra and everything, and we still can't get that to work out. So what's the difference that we can just say, oh, a play is so much different than what we're trying to make over here? So what is the thing that we're missing here?
I mean, that's a loaded question, because honestly, it's hard to even imagine both, because even a play, you're still technically cosplaying, but now this is also an actor's job to take it seriously and be that role. But when you get someone who is either not a good actor and can embody the character, or you get great cast, but then the effects look absolutely terrible and it takes away from the acting, it's hard. It's so hard to get an even balanced film, just in general. So to even hear about a play, that's actually pretty incredible if it got.
Yeah, and that kind of goes along with the whole culture thing that you brought up earlier. Like, that was in Japan. Yeah. I'd be curious to see something like, I know it's not an anime, but Ruby, where it's okay, hear me out. Hear me out.
Ease up, Heavy. Ease up.
No, like trying to adapt that into a live action thing where it is an American-made thing. Yeah. And I would like to see if something like, I know it's not an anime, but I would like to see if something like that could be successful in America.
Or Avatar: The Last Airbender too is a famous American usage of that. It's a medium that we kind of borrowed to tell a story, or one of our own stories. Heavy, do you think in your mind, because I know Joe's very pessimistic about this at all, is there an anime or a short story in your mind that's a manga that would be able to work, that is just westernized enough that we can understand it and portray it in a serious tone?
Whew. Let's see. It would have to be something comedy. I feel like, us Westerns could probably pull something that's comedy. So if it would have to be like, give me a second. Hold up. wait. Hold up. I got this. Maybe.
Pop Team Epic.
Yeah, probably that. Yeah, because it's like really gaggy. So maybe like stuff like Nichigo could probably work out. Maybe if they get like the good cast and then just make it like over exaggerated, I think it could pull off.
And that's a simple one too.
Yeah, exactly. It's very like anything that's just what's that?
Slice of life.
Yeah, we could probably pull off because it's just dialogue, good camera work, and nothing, visual.
Yeah. But do you think that would go over well with the fans who want to see their favorite animes that they have to watch online and stream, that they have to then come back to as a slice of life? Do you think that would work out? I think they would much rather see the animes like My Hero that they know and love, that millions of people watch, rather than just a certain group of people.
These questions, man.
It's a big discussion,
true,
man.
it's
Challenging,
true.
yeah.
Yeah, because like my hero, it's Shonen, but it's they also have these powers.
Yeah.
So I feel like the fault here is just we want to see this extremeness that we see in anime with powers and the weapons and all that come to life in our world. In film, and it's just hard. It's just hard to pull that off. It's just hard.
Well, we could talk about this all day because we pretty much have as a group of people. We've done this before. But I just want to thank you guys for sitting with me today, for talking about me with this. It's a loaded question, but hopefully we could see some good anime adaptations going forward, or maybe just significant steps to build towards a better future. Maybe we're not going, grade A yet, but maybe a C+ would get us somewhere close. But don't go anywhere because we will be discussing Avengers 4 in our new segment called Theory Time. Stick around. Yeah,